join in singing our national anthem. Please be seated. Degree recipients, families and friends of the graduating students, honored guests, and distinguished faculty, may I extend a most cordial welcome to all of you on the occasion of UT Southwestern's 1998 commencement exercise. I would like to introduce the platform party and would ask that as each of you is introduced, would you please stand and remain standing until each group has been recognized, and I would also like to request that the audience refrain from applauding until each group has been introduced. The Honorable David L. Boren, our commencement speaker. I shall have more to say about President Boren later. Mr. A. W. Dub Ryder is a member of the Board of Regents of the University of Texas System. Mr. Ryder is a Tyler businessman, banker, and civic leader. He served as CEO and chairman of the board of Nations Bank in Tyler. He was a regional director of the Federal Reserve Bank from 1969 to 1974. He was president of the Tyler Economic Development Council and has also served as chair of the UT Tyler Development Board and the UT Health Center at Tyler Development Board, and is a member and officer of innumerable other civic and business boards. He was named Tyler's Outstanding Citizen in 1968 and East Texan of the Year in 1992. We are honored that Mr. Ryder, a devoted friend and champion of education and medicine, will serve as the official representative of the Board of Regents to confer degrees on our graduates this evening. Dr. William Cunningham, Chancellor of the University of Texas System. Graduate of the Michigan State University, Dr. Cunningham served on the faculty of the University of Texas at Austin School of Business for several years, where he consistently won Outstanding Teacher Awards. He subsequently became Dean of the Business School, then President of UT Austin, and in 1992 was named as Chancellor of the entire University of Texas System. As Chancellor, he presides over the activities of 9 general academic campuses, including the flagship UT Austin, 2 research and teaching hospitals, and 4 comprehensive academic medical centers, including the flagship UT Southwestern. Beyond his University of Texas system leadership role, Chancellor Cunningham is, in fact, the leader of all higher education in Texas. Respected and admired equally by government officials, community and business leaders, faculty, and students, Bill Cunningham plays the crucial role in the future of higher education in our state. We're honored to have him with us this evening. Dr. John Perkins has been Dean of Southwestern Graduate School for 9 years. A distinguished researcher and educator, he has skillfully led a restructuring of our graduate programs that promises to maintain and propel them into the forefront of American biomedical training into the next century. Dr. William Neves, Dean of Southwestern Medical School. Dr. Neves served on the faculty in a variety of major administrative positions before being named Dean of the Medical School 9 years ago. His contributions to UT Southwestern have been vital to our progress over the past 2.5 decades, and he continues to lead our campus with great dedication, wisdom, and effectiveness. This will be Dr. Neve's last graduation ceremony as Dean. Next month, he is transferring to the new position of Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs, where he will continue to play a central and now broadened role in leading UT Southwestern. Dr. Willis Madry serves as UT Southwestern's Executive Vice President for Clinical Affairs. The last several years have seen a remarkable growth in the scope and eminence of our patient care programs, and with it, significantly increased interactions with referring physicians, affiliated hospitals, and the broader medical community. Dr. Madry leads and coordinates our clinical programs with great ability. Dr. Charles Sprague, President Emeritus of UT Southwestern Medical Center and former Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of the Board of Southwestern Medical Foundation. Dr. Sprague led our medical center from 1967 to 1986. During that period, he guided an expansion of the center which saw over a 10-fold increase in the size of our buildings and in our budget. And even more importantly, he led us in such a way that our quality, as well as our size, increased. As President Emeritus, Dr. Sprague continues to make vital contributions to our success. Mr. Vester Hughes, Jr. is a leading attorney in Dallas. He is an honor graduate of Rice University and Harvard Law School, and he is the founding partner of the Dallas law firm Hughes & Luce. This evening, Mr. Hughes is representing Southwestern Medical Foundation in presenting the Ho Din Award. I will have more to say later about the role the foundation has played throughout UT Southwestern's history and the significance of the Ho Din Award. Dr. Robert Gunby is the president of the Dallas County Medical Society. It is customary for the president of the County Medical Society to administer the physician's oath to Southwestern's new medical doctors. Dr. Gunby is a leading specialist in obstetrics and gynecology in Dallas and an outstanding member of our clinical volunteer faculty, serving as a clinical associate professor for several years now. Tonight, it is my pleasure to announce that in recognition of his many contributions to UT Southwestern's teaching programs and to all of medicine, Dr. Gunby is being promoted to clinical professor of obstetrics and gynecology at UT Southwestern. We are delighted to have Dr. Gunby with us this evening to administer the oath, and to him, as a representative of the practicing medical community in Dallas, I want to say how very much UT Southwestern Medical Center values and appreciates the support we receive from our colleagues in private practice and the spirit of cooperation and partnership that characterizes our relationship. Dr. Eddie McCord, the president of the Southwestern Medical School Alumni Association, is a 1979 graduate of Southwestern and now practices in Eunice, Louisiana. The Alumni Association provides significant support to our school in a variety of ways, and we are delighted to have Dr. McCord with us to represent the association and to highlight the mutually beneficial relationship that persists between our graduates and their school throughout their lifetime. Dr. Richard Archer, a 1956 graduate of UT Southwestern, is a past president of the Alumni Association. He is with us tonight in that capacity and also as the father of one of the 1998 graduates, Richard Archer, Jr. It's always gratifying when a child of an illustrious alumnus chooses to come to UT Southwestern, for it must imply that the family believes from experience that the education received here is of good quality. In the case of the Archer family, however, this vote of confidence is of truly special strength. Not only is Richard Sr. an alumnus, but also his brother, his brother-in-law, and his son-in-law, and now Richard Jr. joins 4 others of his brothers and sisters to become the 5th and last of the Archer family to graduate, the Archer children, I should say, to graduate from UT Southwestern, a record that will surely never be surpassed. The Allied Health Sciences School, the 3rd of our 3 schools, has its graduation exercises later in the summer, and we are delighted to have the Allied Health School represented this evening by Dr. Gordon Green, who serves as dean of the school and who has led it to new heights of excellence over the past 7 years. Please join me in welcoming these members of the platform party. Next, I would like to introduce representatives of the large group of individuals who form the heart and soul of our institution, the faculty of UT Southwestern Medical Center. Faculty are the ultimate source of our strength, and no one would quarrel with the statement that the quality of our faculty is comparable to that of the very best institutions in the world. They bring renown to our school, our city, and our state. They provide exemplary medical care to the sick who come to them for help. Through research, they create the new knowledge that will provide the future breakthroughs of medicine. And most importantly, they teach those who come to Southwestern to learn clinical medicine and basic science. And as our graduates can testify, there are no finer teachers anywhere. The entire faculty is represented tonight by almost 100 individuals from each of the departments and graduate programs, including the graduation marshals, those faculty members who were elected by the graduating students to guide and be with them in the academic procession. I would now like to ask all the faculty, the teachers of our new graduates, to stand and be recognized. And finally, there's one additional group of people whom I wish to recognize, and the students more than anyone else will appreciate the magnitude of the contributions of these special individuals. Each year at Commencement, the Associate Deans for Student Affairs, Drs. Barbara Waller and Jim Wagner, and the Associate Vice President of Student and Alumni Activities, Mr. Wes Norrid, with the help of their very capable staffs, do a tremendous amount of work to ensure that the graduation weekend is a success. Yet their contribution goes largely unrecognized, at least publicly. Their work at these commencement exercises is but one example of their dedication to the well-being of the students throughout the year. I'm not sure where all these people may be located at this moment because they're still working, but wherever you are, I would appreciate it if all the staff who worked so hard to enable this ceremony to occur would stand so that all of us can express our thanks to you for the marvelous job you do. Before I introduce our commencement speaker, I would like to invite Chancellor Cunningham to address our graduates and our guests.
Thank you, President Wildenthal. On behalf of the University of Texas system, all across the state, it is my honor to welcome you to the spring commencement of the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center. For well over half a century, students have graduated from this truly world-class flagship institution and have gone forth to build their professional careers and their families and to contribute to the development of an enlightened society. In many ways, the world has forever changed from the way it was the first commencement, but much has also survived without alteration. I speak of the enduring values upheld by UT Southwestern: respect for free and unfettered learning, honesty and integrity in the pursuit of the truth, commitment to service wherever our communities are in need, and dedication to making the world a better place than we found it. These noble principles are central to the highest standards of excellence to which this university aspires. The UT system is proud of the way the members of the class of 1998 have embraced and adopted these fundamental values. We join your loved ones and friends in celebrating this splendid occasion, and we have no doubt that regardless of where life takes you, you will be outstanding representatives of the UT family. Best wishes, and God bless you.
It's a special pleasure to introduce our 1998 commencement speaker. The Honorable David L. Boren has been president of the University of Oklahoma since 1994. An honor graduate of Yale, Oxford University, where he was a Rhodes Scholar, and the University of Oklahoma Law School, David Boren began his career practicing law in Seminole, Oklahoma, and simultaneously was a professor of political science at the Oklahoma Baptist University in Seminole. As if two jobs were not enough, he also served at the same time as a member of the Oklahoma House of Representatives, until 1975, having first been elected in 1967 at the age of 26, even before he received his law degree. In 1975, he left his law practice and teaching positions and entered government service full-time, becoming governor of Oklahoma from 1975 to 79, and he then served as United States Senator from Oklahoma from 1979 to 1994. David Boren never lost an election. Knowledgeable political pundits expressed the conviction that he had the intelligence, talent, and leadership skills to be President of the United States, and many predicted that in due course that would occur. But in 1994, he surprised them. Instead of pursuing higher elective office, he answered another calling. He did become president, but of a different sort, the president of the University of Oklahoma. Frankly, people were astonished. As one of his predecessors as president of Oklahoma said, Dr. Bill Banowski, why would this most popular of all Oklahoma politicians trade Washington power and glory for the tedious grind of heartland academia, unquote. David Boren answered, because I can do more good for my state, my country, and the world at the university than in the Senate. And President Boren, in just 4 short years, 3.5 actually, has indeed done a world of good. He set out to recruit the brightest students, and the University of Oklahoma now has more National Merit Scholars per capita than any other public university in America. He sought to raise endowment funds to recruit the best faculty, and he has added 90 endowed chairs and professorships in less than 4 years, more than the number that was created in all the preceding 100 years, and he has raised over $200 million. He vowed to fight for a better state support from the legislature, and the legislature in Oklahoma has appropriated major new funds for the university in each year since his arrival. Above all, he promised, and I quote, to create a sense of family and community on campus, unquote. And my friends at the university's main campus in Norman and at the university's Health Science Center in Oklahoma City tell me that indeed morale is high and has never been better. Clearly, President Boren is highly qualified to share his thoughts with graduating students and their families. But he's especially qualified to do so today in Dallas at UT Southwestern's commencement. For in addition to being our featured speaker, David Boren is also the proud uncle of one of our graduating medical students, Tom Connolly. President Boren, we are honored to have you with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Wildenthal, Chancellor Cunningham, distinguished guests, and graduates. I don't know how to begin after an introduction like that. It reminds me of the situation that I faced when I was sworn in as governor. I was standing on the inaugural platform before a crowd like this. I had just taken the oath of office. I had not yet made a single decision. I had not yet given the inaugural address setting forth my platform, and one of the longtime journalists at the Capitol somehow had made his way up onto the inaugural platform. He was there, had been at the Capitol for about 40 years covering it, and as I sat down in my chair after taking the oath of office, he leaned over, tapped me on the shoulder, and said, "Congratulations, Governor, you're at the peak of your popularity." And I feel a little bit like that after such a generous introduction from one of the most outstanding educators in this country. You're privileged in this state to have some great educational leaders. Members of your faculty are among them, and Chancellor Cunningham and Dr. Wildenthal are among them. And it gives me a great deal of pride to have an opportunity to share a few thoughts with you. Pride at being at this great institution, which I must say, even from an Oklahoma vantage point, I must admit is one of the great medical educational institutions, not only in our country, but in the world. Pride in being able to be here because I have some insight through at least 2 windows into this institution, the values it has and the integrity it possesses. A window through my nephew and friend, one of your classmates, and those that I have met in your class as a result of having him as my friend and nephew. an insight into the ethics and integrity of your faculty through Professor Robert Munford, who was my classmate at Oxford and has remained my close friend for more than 35 years. And so it's a special honor knowing something about all of you through those two windows to be able to share some thoughts with you tonight. Dr. Wildenthal mentioned my decision to leave the United States Senate 2 years early and to come back and to really enlist and invest my life with this generation. I can only tell you that the decision to stop hanging out with those 99 other people in Washington and to start hanging out with the members of this generation was the best decision I've ever made in my life. It's been an honor and a privilege because I believe in this generation. This generation has given more of itself in terms of volunteer hours and activities than any other generation in the history of our country. And at a time in which the power and ability to influence the future is shifting more and more away from our central government and more back to our states and our localities and to private organizations and to volunteer organizations, I truly believe that through your engagement and your interest, this generation will do more than any of the generations in recent times, including my own, to rebuild the spirit of this country in the right way. And so, because I believe in you so fervently, it's a special honor for me to be here. And of course, it's also an honor for me to be in Texas. You know, I don't get to brag about my Texas roots very often in Oklahoma. But actually, my great-great-grandfather came to Texas in the late 1820s and early 1830s. Among the first, I believe, 30 families was Stephen Austin in that original colony, which allows me to be a card-carrying member still of the Sons of the Republic of Texas, those who were here as families at Republic time. And my great-great-grandfather settled in the area and received a land grant in the area now known as Ennis, Texas. So I am tremendously proud of my Texas roots. And of course, like many families, many Texas families, in fact, most Texas families, we were really finally able to realize the dream of most Texas families, and that is we got to move to Oklahoma later on. And so I'm really pleased to be here. This is an extraordinary time in which we're living. Sometimes I just want to shout it from the rooftops. Do we realize the kind of times in which we're living, the period of intense change? And if you think about it for a moment, I think you'll realize that in the last 10 years, in terms of what has happened in the world, the political realignment of the world, the economic changes and social changes that have been brought about in the world, the explosion of information available to us, there has never been a decade in the history of the world in which more change took place in such a brief, encapsulated period. I often wonder if people who live through these moments of intense change as we're living through them really realize it. Or do they ponder it, or do they realize the impact that the pace of change is having upon them? I used to ask myself, did people who lived through the Industrial Revolution or people that lived through the Renaissance really know they were living through it? Did they come down to breakfast and across the breakfast table say, just think, dear, isn't it wonderful? We're living through the Renaissance. Imagine having the privilege of living through a period of time like that. Well, of course, I don't think they did. And one of the questions is that knowing that we're living through one of these times of intense change, will it cause us to make better decisions than those who've not realized that they were living through the period of change? In many ways, the definition of this change has come back to me, and I'm confronted with it. My last year in the Senate, I remember one day sitting in my office. It was a very busy day. There were people lined up to see me. My secretary came in and said, there's a gentleman out here that doesn't have an appointment, but he just insists. He insists that you'll see him if you know he's here. I said, well, what's his name? He said, well, his name is Batotkin. And I said, Batotkin? I said, go out and ask him if he's from Moscow. So he went out, my secretary went out, came back in and said, yes, it's Mr. Batotkin from Moscow. Well, I was just astounded. Here I was, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and the then head of the KGB had appeared unannounced and was sitting in my outer office. Well, of course, I was so curious I couldn't imagine. So I said, send him right in. He came in, and he came in with a man named Kalugin that I knew from our past studies, so to speak, had been the chief Soviet spy in the United States. He had posed as a journalist. He had actually bugged the House Armed Services Committee room. And I thought, what in the world? Here's the former chief spy that we had thrown out of the country and the head of the KGB. They came in and greeted me. They speak English like an American. They slapped me on the back and said they were very glad to see me. And I said, what in the world brings you here? And Batakin said, you haven't heard? He said, I quit, head of the KGB. He said, Yeltsin wasn't moving fast enough on the reforms, and I just quit. And I said, well, what are you doing? He said, Kalugin and I have gone into business. He said, we're privatizing part of the Moscow telephone company, and we've been in Richmond, and now we're here, and then we're going to Dallas, and we're going to get investors in our new telephone company. Here, the head of the KGB turned capitalist. That was almost mind-boggling to me, and I was thinking about the pace of change. The little bell went off saying we had a vote on the Senate floor, and I explained I had just 15 minutes to get there, and they said, can we come with you? And I said, well, sure. So I took them over, and usually you have to stand in line to go into the Senate gallery, but we have one little gallery where we can put our family members or special guests without a ticket. We call it the family gallery. So I put Batakin and Kalugin in the family gallery, went down on the floor of the Senate to vote, and watched them peering over the edge. I mean, they were fascinated with all of it. And there I was voting, and all the other senators down the floor, and I thought, what in the world would they think if they knew that I had put the head of the KGB in the family gallery of the United States Senate? Well, it just reminds you of how fast the world is changing. Daniel Boorstin has said that the world is changing so rapidly in terms of the explosion of information that we are in danger of being a generation that is far less knowledgeable and less wise than the generation that came before us. What did he mean by that in describing the pace of change? Again, I can give you an example. In the 6 short years that I served as chairman of the Intelligence Committee and had an opportunity to look at our technical means of collecting raw data from around the world that flooded into the CIA headquarters, amazing capabilities with our satellites, the ability to literally read the front page of a newspaper of someone walking down the streets in Moscow, the ability to literally overhear every telephone conversation in the world and most military communications of even the most secret, thought to be secure kind in the world, and on and on and on. I would estimate that during the period, that's 6 years, that the amount of information, raw data coming into the CIA headquarters increased by 100 times in probably just that 6 years. And what happened to the quality of that 4-page summary that is put on the president's desk each morning of important things to watch in the world, developments that could have an important impact on the security of this nation or the lives of all of us? What happened to the quality of that document when the amount of raw data coming into the CIA headquarters went up 100 times? The quality of the real intelligence went decidedly down, because the amount of raw information so overwhelmed the ability of the human analysts to separate what was important from what was unimportant, that the quality went down. I thought about that when I thought about all the data that came in recently when we had the Indian nuclear tests. And I thought about all the satellite photography and all the other things that were there at Langley to be analyzed. There was so much of it that they missed the few little important signs that were there, but buried like needles in the haystack. And so we're overwhelmed by a pace of change in terms of political and economic relationships. We are absolutely overwhelmed by so much knowledge, so much information that it makes us hard to really convert it to knowledge and wisdom and to really understand what it is that's important to us. You, particularly those of you entering into the medical profession, enter into it in a time in which tremendous change is taking place. The effects of those changes are still being debated. How in the world to improve the quality of care in a society that now faces financial limits. And what is necessary to struggle to preserve the real core meaning of a great profession dedicated to the broader service of humanity in a period of economic limits. And so with all of this change around us, this period of change far more intense in terms of how much is going on in such a short time than the Industrial Revolution or the Renaissance or any other period that we look at as a period of watershed change, we are confronted with even more change and in some ways even more uncertainty. And therefore it is very easy for us, as Dr. Borston said, with so much information and with so much change, to become less wise, because we forget to focus upon those things that are fundamentally important in any period of time in which men and women have ever lived. And that's why perhaps occasions like this have an importance, a special importance in the kind of times in which we live. This is an occasion in which we, of course, celebrate your achievement very properly. And the satisfaction that each of you feels and should feel tonight is entirely proper. It's something that you should feel. It is a milestone, a recognition of what you've done that deserves to be celebrated. It's also a moment in which you not only celebrate to yourself what you know you have done, but it's also a moment that causes you to stop, to think, to realize. And I was thinking about it as I heard the wonderful remarks of Dr. Reynolds to you during the hooding ceremony a few moments ago. You think also about those people that brought you to this place: family, friends, teachers, mentors. It's one of those moments in our lives in which we not only have a great sense of satisfaction in what we've done, but it's also one of those moments when we stop and realize with intensity that we haven't done it all by ourselves. And we realize that other people have touched our lives in a very profound way. And we realize something else at the same time. And that is, as we know how other people can touch our lives, we can never deny that we ourselves have that same responsibility to reach out and touch the lives of others around us in the days ahead. And so it's an important occasion of celebration, of appreciation, and in many ways of assumption of responsibility by a new generation to give back to those who have brought us to this point. Fundamentally, this is a night and this is an occasion in which I hope you will ask yourself a very basic question in this confusing age of change in which we live. How do you want to live the rest of your life? In what do you want to invest it? If you don't stop and think about that question, 50 years from now, you will look back and say, I ended up living the life that someone else or simply circumstance caused me to live, rather than the life that I really wanted to live. Some really defined goals and thought about what you want to do with your life are absolutely essential. Or like a person without a compass, you'll drift off course and you'll squander the opportunities. I feel so often, and I'm sure that every person with every advancing year feels it more intently, of how quickly time passes. I feel it at the university. This year seems shorter than the year before, and it was shorter than the year before that. So how do you want to live your life? I would just share 3 very brief thoughts with you. First, I hope that you will vow to become a part of something more important than yourself. I hope that you will vow to not be a self-absorbed person. Because if you are a self-absorbed person, you will end up not living a very happy or productive life. I've seen it happen to so many people. I've seen it happen to people who really were focused, for example, on how much they could have in material terms. I remember a person coming to me, a good friend of mine, coming to me when the oil bust hit. And he came to me and I was asked to talk to him by another close friend because he had actually become suicidal. And he said to me, I have nothing left to live for. I have lost it all. And I said to him, Jack, you have lost nothing. Why are those who are your friends your friends? Is it because you had enormous material resources, which you did have? I said, no, it's because when you had those resources, you gave them to help expand the services of a great hospital in our community. You gave them to keep the symphony orchestra in existence. You gave them to help people without means acquire an education. It is for your values, not for your wealth, that you have so many friends. And you have lost your wealth, but you have not lost yourself. But if you begin to put too much faith and trust and confidence into other things, those things pretty quickly can take away your sense of self, and you can begin to think you have lost it all. I saw office holders, I saw people I served with in the Senate become so focused on maintaining themselves and their own careers that they begin to lose the moral courage necessary to serve and make the right decisions because they desperately wanted to get reelected no matter what, because the title had become their sole sense of self. And if they were no longer called senator or governor or congressman, and we see it also in business world, CEO or whatever, they were somehow erased. Invest your life in something more important than yourself, in the service of others, in important causes. Develop a sense of self and identity that cannot be taken away from you because you have turned it in an inward direction. Second, please remember that those of you in the medical profession are not just treating diseases or trying to discover ways in which to treat diseases. You are dealing with people. My first year as president of the University of Oklahoma, my first medical school commencement, I heard a faculty member speak, a young faculty member speak, as Dr. Reynolds spoke today, selected by the students themselves, and his speech to the graduates from the College of Medicine was about literature. The thing that he said to them, and the major point he made was, don't quit reading literature. Don't quit participating in the fine arts in the broadest sense. And why did he say that? He said because through all of the writers and the artists, we get outside our own narrow range of experience and we can see the world and we can learn about so many other characters that we could never know personally or ever imagine. And we learn certain attributes of humanity. And he said, your work is with humanity. Read literature. Stay in touch with what it means to be human, because you are dealing with not just diseases and medical problems and challenges, you're dealing with people. Last year, the dean of our medical school retired. And someone said, who are you going to make dean of the medical school? And I said, I already know. I said, we're going to name him interim, and then we won't go through the search because I know who it ought to be. And then if it doesn't work out, we can always change. And I called up the professor who talked about literature and said, I want to ask you to be dean of the College of Medicine. And he's been a great one. Remember that your role is to be engaged with humanity. Don't narrow your life. Don't narrow the range of your educational experience. And last, I would say this. There is no greater need in our country today than to create community. In too many ways, we've become hyphenated Americans, whether we have hyphenated ourselves by race or gender or religion or economic interest or geographical setting. And that makes it all the more difficult for us to deal with the problems we confront at a time in which we need to come together like an American family, very diverse, like brothers and sisters with giving space to each other. And all of us in our families know how different brothers and sisters can be, and how we should respect the difference and how we should give space in our families, but yet we're a family. We love and we respect each other. And we desperately need to create that respect and tolerance for our diversity, and yet at the same time that love for each other that binds us together into one community as people. We have become far too fragmented to remain a great nation if we don't find a way to restore a spirit of community. There's certain critical points of contact in our society. Universities are one of those points of contact in which one generation meets another. And from the experience of one generation and the original thought and energy and vitality of the other generation, more intellectual energy and power is created in society than any place else, and values are passed on. Another point of contact, particularly in this lonely, isolated, fragmented society in which we live, is in the physician's office or clinic. People who have, for one reason or another, fallen away from other institutions that have served us and are so important, be it the church or the family, in our somewhat dysfunctional society, bring not only their medical problems, but their problems of spirit and emotion to the physician's office probably more than ever. You are a point of contact. Do not deny that role. Be that point of contact that helps bring people together and helps bring communities together. And don't stop participating in the broader community, even though you must spend many hours in the research laboratory or in your clinical practice. Remain part of the community. Over the 25 years I was in public service, one thing I noted bothered me greatly. When I was first starting out, I saw young physicians, young attorneys, often in community organizations, taking a role not only in their professions, but also in the broader community. And year by year by year, I have seen fewer and fewer and fewer active in organizations in the broader community. And finally, because you are that point of contact, and because you have that important opportunity to help rebuild the broken spirit of community in this country, you must fight those that would transform your great serving spiritual profession into mere business or commerce. You must fight those who would say we will take out of the hands of those with medical knowledge and expertise the right to make decisions about how to treat patients and put it into the hands of only those who care about the bottom line. You must have the moral courage to preserve your profession. And so you're challenged, and you have great opportunities, great talents. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? How are you going to invest it? How are you going to find meaning in it? John Gardner said once that he thought that our democratic society was one of the great wonders of the world. We're taught as children about the wonders of the world, like the pyramids and the constructed wonders of the world. And he said, our society, our democratic society, is far more remarkable. He said, once the pyramids were built, they didn't really have to be touched anymore, they've stood. But a society like ours has to be recreated over and over and over again. Every generation has to recreate it. It has to be constantly tended. It's like a marriage or a family or a friendship. It has to be loved over and over and over again, and it has to be cared for. And now it's our turn. It's been put into our hands. What will we do with it? You started down a path of service when you decided to come to this great institution. You decided when you chose this particular profession to become a part of something larger than yourself. When you came here, you brought some dreams with you, and you brought with you some very important goals. Tonight we say to you, those dreams, those goals that you brought with you when you came, take them with you as you leave. Never, never, never give them up. Congratulations and Godspeed.
Thank you, President Boren. I know the students in the audience join me in expressing our thanks for the insights and inspiration you've brought to the ceremony. As many in the audience know, it's traditional that each year at commencement, one of our graduating medical students receives special recognition in the form of the Ho-Din Award of the Southwestern Medical Foundation. This award is made as an expression of the Foundation's concern for and appreciation of scholarship and those personal qualities imparted in a physician. Earlier, I mentioned that the Foundation has played a vital role throughout the history of our institution. Indeed, if it were not for the Southwestern Medical Foundation, there would not be a Southwestern Medical Center. Those of you who do not know the complete history of the school would be interested to learn that it was created 55 years ago by the Southwestern Medical Foundation, and the Foundation was its sole support until we became part of the University of Texas system in 1949. The Foundation has continued as a major contributor and supporter of UT Southwestern Medical Center throughout the years, and it provides a critically important link between the school and the Dallas community. The Foundation this year has asked Mr. Vester Hughes to present the Ho-Din Award on its behalf.
Dr. Wildenthal, Chancellor Cunningham, President Boren, Dr. Craig, Mr. Carr, members of the graduating class 1998, ladies and gentlemen. As Dr. Wildenthal has indicated, the presentation I make is on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Southwestern Medical Foundation. It's the highest award that the Foundation bestows. The award was established 55 years ago on May 5th, 1943. And the object was to recognize a graduating medical student who best represented the spirit of medical wisdom and human understanding. I think we will all identify those as the essential characteristics of great physicians dating back to Hippocrates and probably earlier. Certainly tonight's recipient demonstrates and exemplifies the qualities that Ho-Din signified. The award consists of a symbolic key, a certificate bearing the seal of the Foundation, and a cash award of $7,500 given in memory of the late Dr. E.H. Carey, the first president of Southwestern Medical Foundation. This year's recipient is Beverly Shannon Neville, who was born and raised in Georgia, spent high school years in Kerrville, Texas, and then studied and graduated from the University of Texas in Austin with the highest honors and with a major in biology. The scope of Dr. Neville's interest has always been wider than science. She's an accomplished ballet dancer, has instructed young people in ballet. And her early college study was philosophy. During undergraduate school, she was also engaged in mentoring and advising roles, including University of Texas freshmen, elementary school students in the area of science, and junior high students through her church. Other activities included serving the Austin community as a hospital volunteer, and she also engaged in intramural and the City League softball. While at Southwestern, she has made time to participate in student organizations that visit area schools to teach about sexually transmitted diseases and the dangers of smoking. And in addition, this last year, she got back into ballet again. In short, she has crowded many worthwhile activities in addition to outstanding academic achievements into the 24-hour day for many years, combining, quote, the spirit of medical wisdom and human understanding for which the Hodin Ward stands. After graduation, Dr. Neville will pursue a specialty in internal medicine at Barnes Jewish Hospital, Washington University Medical School in St. Louis, because internal medicine, as she puts it, affords, quote, the opportunity to treat the whole patient, including psychosocial needs. Dr. Neville, our congratulations on your simultaneous preparation for a medical career and the contributions you have made while pursuing it. Will you please come forward to receive the Hodin Award, the highest honor bestowed by the Southwestern Medical Foundation.
Dr. John Perkins will present the candidates for the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Science, and Doctor of Philosophy. Regent Ryder will confer those degrees.
Would the degree candidates from Southwestern Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences please rise? Regent Ryder, with approval of the graduate faculty, I am pleased to present to you these candidates who have completed the prescribed course and fulfill all the requirements of the University of Texas Southwestern Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences for the degree of Master of Arts, Master of Science, Doctor of Philosophy. They are therefore recommended for their proper degrees.
Thank you, Dr. Perkins. May I say at the beginning, it's a very great privilege for me to be here and participate in this wonderful ceremony. By virtue of the authority vested by law and the Board of Regents of the University of Texas system, I now confer upon each of you the respective academic degree for which you have been recommended, with all the rights, privileges, responsibilities, and obligations appertaining thereunto. And I offer to each of you my sincerest congratulations.
Would the candidates approach the podium to receive your diplomas? I'll read the name of each candidate and their degree and area of specialization. Carl David Koch, Doctor of Philosophy and Clinical Psychology. Jean M. LeBlanc, Doctor of Philosophy and Clinical Psychology. Kathy Lynn McGraw, Doctor of Philosophy, Clinical Psychology. Clark Andrew Stevens, Doctor of Philosophy and Clinical Psychology. Anna Ritchie Wright, Doctor of Philosophy and Clinical Psychology. Maureen Young, Doctor of Philosophy in Cell Regulation. Daniel Andrew Martinez, Master of Arts in Biomedical Communication. Christine Marie Brown, Doctor of Philosophy in Clinical Psychology. Andrei V. Koklachev, Doctor of Philosophy, Cell Regulation. Zheng Liu, Doctor of Philosophy in Cell Regulation. Chenglun Na, Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Engineering. Swarupa Koneru Naidu, Doctor of Philosophy in Clinical Psychology. Partha Roy, Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Engineering. Suguang Shao, Doctor of Philosophy, Molecular Biophysics. Wenjin Zheng, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Walter V. Roy, Jr., Master of Science, Rehabilitation Counseling Psychology. Prakash Krishan Bhatia, Doctor of Philosophy in Neuroscience. Prakash Bhuyan, Doctor of Philosophy in Immunology. Charles H. Britton III, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Vikramson Madarsan Dabi, Doctor of Philosophy and Molecular Microbiology. James Robert Davey, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Heather Clendening de Grindela, Doctor of Philosophy, Immunology. Rana Damiati Saad, Doctor of Philosophy in Immunology. Yi Shuilan Huang, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Adila Kamal, Doctor of Philosophy, Cell Regulation. Julia Ann Klesny Tate, Doctor of Philosophy, Molecular Microbiology. Eric Colin Kuhn, Doctor of Philosophy, Cheryl Maravi Lewis, Doctor of Philosophy, Cell Regulation. Richard Joseph Noel, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Andrea Lynn Sestak, Doctor of Philosophy, Genetics and Development. Andrew David Simmons, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Xiaoling Song, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. George Chiran Thambi, Doctor of Philosophy, Radiological Sciences. Mark Alfred Wessels, Doctor of Philosophy, Radiological Sciences. Quan Yang, Doctor of Philosophy, Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Pompey Paul Young, Doctor of Philosophy, Cell Regulation. Camelia Louise Blevins, Master of Science, Rehabilitation Counseling Psychology. Laura Catherine Griffith, Master of Science, Rehabilitation Counseling Psychology. Noah James Koos, Master of Science, Biomedical Engineering. Patrick Jong Lee, Master of Science, Biomedical Engineering. Yulin Song, Master of Science, Biomedical Engineering. Let's give all of the graduates a nice round of applause.
Dr. William Neves will now present the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Medicine, and Regent Ryder will confer the degrees.
Candidates for the degree of Doctor of Medicine will please stand. Regent Ryder, with approval of the medical faculty, I am pleased to present these candidates who have completed the prescribed course of study and fulfilled all the requirements of the University of Texas Southwestern Medical School for the degree of Doctor of Medicine. They are therefore recommended for that degree.
Thank you, Doctor. By virtue of the authority vested by law in the Board of Regents of the University of Texas system, I now confer upon each of you the respective academic degree for which you have been recommended, with all of the rights, the privileges, the responsibilities, and the obligations thereunto. And I offer to each and every one of you my sincerest congratulations.
Graduates will come forward to receive diplomas as called. Dr. Moeen Abedin. Dr. Joseph Yang Allen. Dr. Katrina Yvette Allen. Dr. Angela Anderson. Dr. Lori Jean Anderson. Dr. Richard K. Archer, Jr. Dr. Brent Michael Arnold. Dr. Baron Charles Atkins. Dr. Augustin Rawlins Atwell. Dr. Paul Edwin Barton. Dr. Stephen Thomas Bow. Dr. John Leslie Belcher. Dr. Kenneth Andrew Baruman. Dr. Prakash Christian Bhatia. Dr. Prakash Bhuyan. Dr. Wesley Ann Bowman. Dr. Charles H. Britton III. Dr. Amy Rochelle Brew. Dr. Courtney Gay Brown. Dr. Jason Paul Brown. Dr. Catherine Angela Brown in absentia. Dr. Jeffrey David Browning. Dr. Christopher Todd Buchanan. Dr. Randall James Burt. Dr. Albert Edward Carlotti. Dr. Kristen Lanham Casanave. Dr. Eric Castle. Dr. Robert Castorina, Jr. Dr. Yupo Jesse Chang. Dr. Michelle Nicole Lakey Chestnut. Dr. Christopher John Chakosky. Dr. Catherine Ann Chin. Dr. Preetha Chitkara. Dr. Hethal Sushil Chokshi. Dr. Stephen Wayne Coates, Jr. Dr. Tom Shai Connolly. Dr. Jessica Danforth Cotty. Dr. John Higby Cotty II. Dr. Larry Lionel Cunningham, Jr. Dr. Claire Somerville Curtis. Dr. Vikramsi Madarsi Dabi. Dr. James Kenneth David. Dr. James Robert Davey. Dr. Chad Allen Davis. Dr. Sean B. Davis. Dr. Jeffrey S. Dixon. Dr. David W. Jang. Dr. Rhett Andrew Dodge. Dr. Simon Darton. Dr. Rachel Hannah Dotson. Dr. Clark Charles Duchesne. Dr. Leanne Denise Ermel. Dr. Laura Lynn Fagan in absentia. Dr. Shelley Christine Farrell. Dr. Christina Victoria Fraser. Dr. Tracy B. Gappin. Dr. John Angel Garcia. Dr. Gary Gazzelli. Dr. Julia Rebecca Gillian. Dr. Jennifer Marion Gilsell. Dr. David M. Godat. Dr. Tyler Daniel Goldberg. Dr. Pedro Daniel Gonzalez. Dr. Douglas Grant. Dr. Roddy Darrell Green. Dr. Christina Elaine Gutierrez. Dr. Joel Husty Halanich. Dr. Daniel Christopher Harris. Dr. Aubrey Chad Hartman, Dr. Kristen Randall Herring, Dr. Craig A. Hicks, Dr. Chian Hui Hong, Dr. Kathleen L. Horan, Dr. Andrew Franklin Hundley, Dr. Julie Elizabeth Bain Hundley, Dr. Pamela Maria Wang, Dr. John Hune, Dr. Lucas Giacomides, Dr. Tulika Jan, Dr. Velkesh Ramanlal Jaiswal, Dr. Adam Jonathan Kaplan, Dr. Jennifer Harris Kaplan, Dr. Naveen Kella, Dr. Shane Wesley Kennedy, Dr. Julia Ann Klesny Tate, Dr. Pollyann Knight, Dr. Junho Kong, Dr. Eric Colin Kuhn, Dr. Yuvaraj Darren Kumar, Dr. Samuel S. Law, Dr. Charles Victor Lampe, Dr. Kirk Edward Lane, Dr. Brian D. Lee, Dr. Christine Wade Leatherberry, Dr. Augustine Junzug Lee, Dr. Sung Young Lee, Dr. Jenny Ruth Lehman, Dr. Glenn Keith Levine, Dr. Peter Albert Helmut Lair, Jr., Dr. Linda R. Leem, Dr. Garrett Henry Lisher, Dr. Eleanor Y. Lowe, Dr. Francisco Loya III, Dr. Ben Luong in absentia, Dr. Daniel W. Mackey, Dr. Rachel A. Manalur, Dr. Corwin Dean Martin, Dr. Leslie Ann McGinnis, Dr. Jesse K. McKinney, Dr. David C. Minna, Dr. Peter H. Miles, Jr., Dr. Yogesh Mittal, Dr. John Moon III, Dr. Carolyn J. Moore. Dr. Daniel John Moore. Dr. James Michael Mazzarelli. Dr. Deepa Nagar. Dr. Anand D. Nayak. Dr. Bandana Narang. Dr. Beverly Shannon Neville. Dr. Adrian Ha Nguyen. Dr. Diana K. Nguyen. Dr. Tai Teng Nguyen. Dr. Tri Tang Nguyen. Dr. Luis Escalante Nieves. Dr. Michael L. Nix. Dr. John McKay Noack. Dr. Richard Joseph Noel. Dr. Jennifer Lynn Nossaman Gropper. Dr. Edward Ortiz. Dr. Shay Estelle Palamountain. Dr. Kevin Panico. Dr. Edward Cruz Paredes. Dr. Darius Beccari. Dr. Deepak Pillai. Dr. Ann Chandler Plinicky. Dr. Jennifer Blair Pollard. Dr. R. Jordan Post. Dr. Jonathan Lewis Powell. Dr. Keith T. Power. Dr. Andrew Kwan. Dr. Julie Raggio. Dr. Revathi Reena Kanan Ramani. Dr. Patience Harriet Redding. Dr. Suzanne Lowe Ramey. Dr. Michelle Renee Reyna. Dr. Kurash Rizai. Dr. Tom R. Rourke. Dr. Michael Keith Schrader. Dr. Megan O'Rourke Schrader. Dr. Sefer Sekavat. Dr. Andrea Lynn Sestock. Dr. Hubert Emery C. Dr. Anna Maria Silva. Dr. Eric Lawrence Simpson. Dr. Gerald Craig Simpson. Dr. Leslie Ann Simpson. Dr. David Patrick Singer. Damon Neely Slager. Dr. Andrew Buchanan Small IV. Dr. Jesse Ellis Smith. Dr. David C. Sorley. Dr. Brian L. Springer. Dr. Philip John Stephen. Dr. Richard Leo Stern. Dr. Ashley Stiegler. Dr. Brian Alexander Stolle. Dr. Stephen A. Sutton. Dr. Kimberly Carla Sweet. Dr. Caesar J. Taylor, in absentia. Dr. Julian Michelle Smith Taylor. Dr. Kimberly Ann Tinpus. Dr. John A. Thomas. Dr. John L. Tron. Dr. Lemyon Tron. Dr. Joanne Ewan Tsai. Dr. Creighton Collins Tubb. Dr. Robert Louis Ersprung. Dr. Ignacio H. Valdez. Dr. Rachel Heather Ballack. Dr. Peter Michael Valenzuela. Dr. Elizabeth Jean Vaught. Dr. Isaac Samuel Vergara. Dr. Hui B. Vin, in absentia. Dr. Benny S. Wang, in absentia. Dr. Alexandra Laura Barr Webb. Dr. Anthony Gabriel Webb. Dr. Vasanta Pasharati Weiss. Dr. Stephen J. Wynn. Dr. Scott Andrew Winger. Dr. Kurt Ian Way. Dr. Richard Irvin Wisnot. Dr. Teresa Watson Wisnot. Dr. Michael Patrick Witt. Dr. Leslie P. Wong. Dr. Brian Keith Woodruff. Dr. J. Robert Woody. Dr. Daniel Aaron Worrell. Dr. Wendy Lynn Wright. Dr. William J. Wright. Dr. Michael Chawa Wu. Dr. Mark William Wiley. Dr. Pompey Paul Young. Dr. George A. Eunice. Dr. Sarah McNally Zychek. Dr. Oren Yehuda Zabeda. Congratulations to each of you.
Dr. Robert Gunby will now administer the physician's oath to the graduating medical students. For those in the audience who may wish to read along as the oath is recited, it is printed in the commencement program about 1/3 from the end, just after the list of residency appointments. Dr. Gunby.
Thank you. Will the new doctors please rise? Raise your right hand and recite with me the physician's oath. I pledge the following as an expression of the spirit in which I will strive to practice medicine. To promote health and to relieve suffering in both the living and the dying. To approach all my patients with integrity, candor, empathy, and respect. To honor the confidences entrusted to me. To be a student and a teacher always, and to remain conscious of my limitations. To place the welfare of the patients above personal gain. And to protect patients from improper care. To respond always in an emergency. To improve health care for the underserved. And to work to change those conditions in society that threaten the health of the community. To withdraw from active practice when I am no longer capable of fulfilling these pledges. To keep the promise of Hippocrates, above all, do no harm. I make these pledges solemnly, freely, and upon my honor. Thank you. You may be seated. I would like to be the first to welcome you to the family of medicine. You're joining one of the world's most rewarding professions. I challenge you to live this oath that you have just taken every day of your life. Congratulations.
Now that all of our graduates have received their degrees and the faculty and special guests have been recognized for their important contributions, I think it would be appropriate for us to pause and pay tribute for a few minutes to some others in the audience whose roles have been vital in bringing us to this auspicious point. The philanthropic community of Dallas and the state and federal governments have provided the resources to enable Southwestern Medical Center to educate its students. The faculty have taught, and the students have learned, but this alone would not have been enough. There had to be as well an undergirding of support for these talented and fortunate young men and women, financial support in most cases, but more importantly, intellectual support and emotional support. The unsung heroes and heroines who provided that support, often at great sacrifice, but always with love and confidence, deserve our appreciation and respect as much as anyone here. And so to honor those who made it possible for these graduates to reach this important milestone in their lives, I'd like to ask all the parents, grandparents, spouses, brothers and sisters, children, and other special relatives and friends of the graduates who made it possible, please stand so that you too can be recognized this evening. All of us are very grateful to you. This concludes our commencement ceremony. As our new graduates depart, I know that they, like their predecessors, will bring honor to our school. To you, our newest alumni, and to your family and friends, UT Southwestern extends its sincere congratulations and best wishes.